And what I'm going to be using on the Sashiko today is this. This is a fabric guide made for our sergers, but it also will work on the Sashiko. So I'm going to change my camera view and we're going to get started. I'm going to install this. I'm going to set this up for a 1/4 inch seam on my serger. So, to point a couple of things out, there are 2 screw holes here and one there, that allow you to put an attach where you can screw in the attachments. Last week I was using the set screws from my serger, but lo and behold, I did find the screws that came with the Sashiko, and they're all metal. Those came with the Sashiko. They were hiding out in this little drawer right here. So to open your accessory door on the Sashiko, you just pull this forward, and there's where you can store screwdrivers, needles, latch hooks, all your little accessories for the Sashiko. And that just slides in and stays in place right there. Handy and tidy and perfectly right there in space. So what I'm using, this is a big seam guide. So check this out. The upper numbers are centimeters. The lower numbers are in inches. So right there is actually a mark for the 1/4 inch foot. It has this sliding guide right here. And if you line up, I'm gonna get that a little closer. If you line up this edge of the slider with that number, that will set your seam. The big thing is to get the 0 mark level, right in front of where your needle drop is, and that's how we will get that. So I'm going to attach this, and what I'm doing, I am lining up the 0 mark where it says 0 on this ruler, right here with the 0 mark on the plate of the Sashiko. Okay. So I'm just going to line that up. I'm going to get one of these screws in it. Not lean forward so I don't block the camera view there. There we go. And I'm just going to finger tighten that down. I'm going to make sure my 0 mark on the guide and on the needle plate that they're perfectly lined up. Make sure it's nice and square. Okay, now I'm going to attach the other one. That'll hold it nice and tight in place. And you can use a screwdriver in there, but honestly, this one works perfectly well just shifting it with your fingers, just touching it with your fingers. So when that lever is down right there, it's locked into place. When you flip it up, you can it easily slides any place you want. It goes all the way from 1/8 of an inch out to 5 1/4 inches. So I'm going to set this plate for a 1/4 inch. And I'm going to line up the stop guide right on the 1/4 inch mark. And then I'm going to flip this down so it's locked into place. Now I have a good seam guide to achieve that perfect 1/4 inch seam. So I have some quilt blocks made, and I'm actually going to start setting my blocks together. I'm going to put those 2 together first. And I'm just going to, on this particular one, I have no seams to match. However, where's my little clippies? I do like to put a pin on the end of it. And do I have any over here? Of course not. Let me go grab my little pin cushion. It's over here by the serger. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start it this way. So I want a pin down here where I line up this corner is where I'm going to end up. There we go. Then I'm going to match these, raise my presser foot up, and slide that right up under there and drop it. Ouch. And I'm going to tap on my presser foot. I'm going to hold this in once so it stays in needle down. There we go. Now we're ready to go. So, since I pinned it right down here, I can just hold on it right here, and I can adjust my edges as I'm sewing to get everything lined up and flip my little seams the way I want them to go. I have it set at its smallest setting, 2 length and 2 in spacing. Okay, so we're going to give this one a go and get this party started. Oh, and I also have over here, let me raise this up just a hair. I have this set at 0, so that is actually how much pressure the foot puts down. If you turn it, you can go from 0 all the way up to 3. 3 is real loose, and you can rotate that thing around almost like free motion. Almost, not quite. 0 is normal. And this is what I would consider some normal sewing. I'm just sewing some seams in. Now I'm getting up here towards the end. I'm going to take out my pin. I'd held it all in place. And you know, I've pieced these blocks on my sewing machine, on the Solaris, but I decided this would be a good thing to do on the Sashiko because I can, you know, and I think I just ran out of bobbin thread, but there's a perfectly pieced seam. There you go, see that right there? Make it a little closer. It looks like I hand sewed it, doesn't it? It reminds me of my hand sewing days when my Meemaw in Kentucky taught me how to sew and piece quilts. There it is, perfectly joined, nice and tight. Can't pull it apart. It's all good. So those 2 blocks are set together. So this is going to be a corner right here. Now I'm going to figure out a couple more blocks to set in. Let's see here. I want... What do I want there? Maybe that'll be... No, it'll still be the same thing. So... I'm going to probably do that one there, and either way I go, I'm going to have that one issue. But you know what? That's okay. So I'm going to put this one here. And I'm going to put, I want to, this one I think. Right there like that. Yep, these two are going to go together right here. Now I have to, though, I think I have to put in some more thread. So to do that, I can leave this attached. It's all good. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold down my button until the green light down here comes on. That means that positions the bobbin so it can be safely removed. So you always want to do that before you open your door over here on the side. I'm going to lower this camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm going to hold this button in until the green light comes on. There we go. Now I can open this up. And I can take out my bobbin. Okay, I have plenty of thread on there. So I just have to rethread it. Right now I have Madeira Katona in. It's a 50 weight thread. What else do I have wound over here? Well, you know what? Since I am going to be rethreading this, I'm going to put in a different thread that I've been wanting to play with. And this is 30 weight Mirage thread from Wonderfill. Okay. And I haven't used any of this yet, so I want to play with this on my Sashiko while I'm piecing. Excuse me. So I'm going to put this on my thread holder back here. There we go. Now I'm going to wind a bobbin. And I'm going to raise this up just a hair so you can see what I'm doing. I put my spool on back here. Then your first threading path is right over here. So it's going to go through this little clip right there. Then it will come over here, click through that little stand, and then I'm going to put it through, oops, find the end of it, there we go. Put that through the hole in the bobbin and push it down. Push this forward. I'm going to hold up on it. Let's see. Try to get that where you can see that a little better. There we go. And I'm going to hold down on my foot pedal while gently holding up on this. And then after it turns a while, you can take your foot off of the pedal and it will continue to run. To stop it, tap your foot pedal. And I'm going to trim that thread. Okay, I know I have scissors over here. Here we go, these work. There we go. And I'm going to hold down my foot pedal and release and let it finish winding its bobbin. Okay, so, and I will answer all questions after my little demo is done here. But this is a really cool attachment. It's actually made for the sergers. And it's a really cool attachment for the Sashiko, but this will only fit on the Triumph, Ovation, and Euphoria sergers. It will not fit on any of the others. Okay, so that's good. Now I'm just going to cut this right up here. And I can just leave that threaded for the next time. For right now anyway. Now I have my bobbin. And I'm going to insert it. I'm going to come over here. Let's see. Right here. And I'm going to click it on under its little metal plate there like you would any of these type of bobbins. And then I'm going to put the end of the thread from this side of the bobbin where the actual bobbin goes in and out through these two little holes right here. And they call these rabbit ears. That's Evie Hawkins gave it that nickname, and it's a good nickname for it because they kind of look like little rabbit ears. I'll do a Q&A, like I said, once this demo is over with. Okay. We're going to see if this if this 30 weight rayon Wonderfill thread is Sashiko worthy. Something tells me it probably is. So you want about a 10-inch tail, okay, when you thread this. So now the bobbin goes in this direction. The little fuzzy bunny ear, rabbit tail on top, the bunny ears on the bottom. And you want to get it, oops, you don't want it to drop out like mine just did. So I should have had, come on you. If you have more than 10 inches pulled out, that's okay. It's all good. There we go. Let's get that slack out of it. Okay. So I'm going to pull out on the latch and hold on to it. That way it won't fall out. And then I'm going to hold on to it and insert it into the machine. And you'll feel it click into place because you kind of put the rabbit ears at 1 o'clock and then turn it up towards 12. And you'll feel it click, those rabbit ears click right into place because there's a little notch in here that fits into. Then you want to make sure your presser foot is up. And then I'm going to hold on to this and I'm going to turn the hand wheel towards me. And I just saw it pull the thread up, and that's what we want. And now I'm going to take my little screwdriver, or if you have a stiletto, and you're going to sweep the thread like this. You want to hold on to it, but you're going to sweep it. And get that coming all out this way. There we go. Right there. Now I have a hold of the thread still. I'm going to shut the door and put it right down through here. Okay. That cut it, that also puts tension on it for it to form its first stitch. I'm going to get me a little scrap to get it started to make sure I did everything right. Okay. I'm going to lower my presser foot and I'm going to slowly take off. Took a couple of stitches, but now it is making the stitch. Perfect. Alrighty. So now I'm going to pull my presser foot up. And when you want to cut your thread, you pull your fabric straight to the back and then rotate it over here to the side thread cutter. You always want to do this because this holds your thread under tension for it to make its next stitch. Okay. You can see there at the end of my thumb, there's my 3 little test stitches where I just rethreaded it. Okay, so that's good to go. Now, we are all set to sew another piece together. I'm going to sew 2 more blocks together and then set those 4 blocks together, and then I will take questions. So, how was I going to do this? I was going to do it like that, or like that. Probably going to do it like this. Yeah, and then like this. So I'm going to set these 2 together. Right there on that seam. I'll put me a pin right down here. Or if you had a wonder clip handy, you could use a wonder clip instead of a pin. And now I'm going to get that right up under that plate, lower that presser foot, and I'm going to hold this button in to make it start and needle down. Okay. There we go. Yellow light means needle down. Okay, so we're off and going again. And boy howdy, that 30 weight thread is sure looking nice. The cool thing about a Sashiko machine, it's not just for quilting, everybody. You can use it, or you would use any straight stitch on any straight stitch machine. But the great thing about Sashiko is you get the heirloom look. Okay? Think decorative top stitching. Think swatching, ruching. And absolutely, I know people who quilt large king-size quilts on this machine. They may do it in sections, but they do quilt big quilts using this Sashiko machine. Okay. Needle up, presser foot up, straight back, and cut. And boy, I really like that thread. Oh, tension's great. So there's that. See a beautiful variegated color? Don't you, I just love, and the Sashiko really shines with variegated threads. But that's a 30 weight rayon thread by Wonderfill. Pretty cool. Do it this other way as well. And it really looks pretty here. You wouldn't think, when you look at this spool, it's sometimes variegated. It's really hard to tell what the stitching's actually going to look like. Because if you look at that, you might think, wow, those are a lot of bright colors. But when you look at it as a stitch out, it's got about a 2-inch color change is what it's doing here. But check it out. Darker down this way to lighter. Pretty cool. Okay. So I have one more seam I want to do. Then I will take questions. I'm going to sew these 4 blocks together. Oops. And I will do, so yes, back to like with this seam guide, you can actually construct garments on it. This is a beautiful technique machine to do French seams with. You can do lingerie, organza. It will sew virtually anything. Not just for quilting. That's the first thing most people think of when they see this. But do look on Pinterest and put down Sashiko stitching. There are many techniques where Sashiko stitching by hand is used for a variety of things, even to make bags with. So I have all my stuff lined up. I did put a pin and match the center seam where the 4 blocks meet, just to be safe. And we're going to get this one started right there. There we go, needle down, yellow light is on. I have my fabric guide set at a 1/4 inch on this 5.5 inch ruler here. And I'm just, now with my pins in here, I can pull back on it, move this camera a little bit, you can kind of see what I'm doing better. I can pull back on it right here and it'll put just ever so slight tension on it, and it really makes everything lay nice and flat. And I can line up these seams as I'm going. Once again, I've got it set for a 1/4 inch seam. I'm just going to line that one up before I get to it. Okay, I'm going to clip some excess thread tails here while I'm going. I am going to end up putting this quilt top in the long arm and quilting it. So I don't want to have to go back and trim threads at a later date. I just do it as I'm piecing, and then I don't have to worry about it in the future. Okay, so now I'm going to hold my finger where I just unpinned at. I'm going to raise my presser foot up because that seam wanted to flip on me just a little bit. Now it's locked into place, and I can hold on back here and get everything else lined up properly. Okay. And I'll make sure my seams are flat, the flattest they can be. That's what I did right there. I positioned those seams to go away from each other. Now I just got a little bit more to go and I'll have 4 blocks set together. Okay. While moving the studio, I found some of my UFOs, and this was one of them. And this is what we're going to be working on here on some of my Facebook Lives as I finish them. But I figured this would be a great demo to show how to use this fabric guide on the Sashiko. Okay. And it's as easy as that. Check that out right there. One nice big long seam. Looks like I hand stitched it. Even when I did hand stitch, they didn't look that good. And if I did it properly, yes, perfectly lined up right there is where the 4 corners of the 4 blocks meet. Check that out on the Sashiko. Okay, so, and what I'm piecing together, I have set up on my design wall. I'm going to move this big camera for just a moment. Right over there, I have all my blocks laid out on my design wall, so I could get kind of a feel for the colors I'm working with. That's all Tula Pink. So that is what I am working on at the moment.